my name is Ashley Forsyth, and I am the owner of Health and Fitness Meals in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm here with Jacki Miller. Hey, Jacki.
Hi.
And Jacki is actually, let me post this on here for you guys to see. She is the owner and she is the lead designer of the company Foil and Ink. And they're basically a small design studio that specializes in creating bold, eye-catching brands and websites for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And one of the major things that you do is really creative wedding stationery.
Yes, one of my favorite things to do.
So, I mean, if you guys didn't want to follow her or go to her website, the stuff that she makes is beautiful. And I have to tell you something. The girl that I interviewed before you was literally like, how do you know Foil and Ink? And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I follow her forever. I want my Instagram to look like hers. Like, I love her. And I was just like, I know Jacki from forever ago. So here's how I know Jacki. We've been friends for a really, really long time. I mean, we were not in junior high together, but we did know each other through sports. And when we went to high school together, I know we did everything together. We were on the same sporting teams and dance teams. And
yeah, pretty much we're hanging out daily.
We had more of half of our classes together, I believe, our whole senior year.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And we were going to lunches together. So it was funny when I got to answer that. I felt like it was like celebrity status. Well, Jacki is one of my best friends from forever.
That makes me happy that she likes our work. So thank you, whoever you were. I hope that we maybe get to meet or something sometime. So
awesome. So okay, so that being said, let's see the next thing we're going to go to. So I wanted to know, first off, how you got into your line of work and what made you interested in it.
Well, in college I majored in photography and minored in graphic design. So I was kind of going the photography route, and then I decided, well, I want to get some design under my belt. So I took some design classes and I completely fell in love with it. When I finished school and kind of started on my photography journey, that's what I started doing first. Loved it, did it for a few years, and then I kind of got burnout. But before the burnout happened, I started doing wedding invitations. I designed my husband and I's first, and I loved the process, loved the tangible products that you get when you print them, and I decided to start including them in my brides who I would photograph into their packages, and it became one of my favorite things. So that's how I started with the design portion. Go back 4 years, I ended up stopping my photography journey and diving straight into design full-time. So my husband and I decided, what?
It was when you moved, because
Yes.
Tell them a little bit about that.
So we had lived in Utah our whole lives. And then 4 years ago, we decided to move to Mesa, Arizona. My husband got a job there, and we kind of wanted to try some new things. And it ended up being the perfect opportunity to kind of jump ship from the photography world and dive right into the design world. And it was the best decision I made. I have loved every second of it. And I'm just excited for what the next few years are going to bring.
Awesome. So one of those many classes that you and I were in high school, we did a lot of art classes together. So you've always been really creative. Like you've always been really good at anything visual. And one of the things that, like, you did the photography, and you're so good at it. And I remember when you told me you weren't going to do it anymore, and I was like, but you're so good. Like you do such beautiful pieces. And I don't know, I was kind of like, didn't know your vision. I didn't see it. And I was kind of like sad. I was a little bit sad, but I mean, everything that you've ever done, you've been really great at. So I had no doubt that it would be a success, and it has. And I mean, you even have employees now that work for you and do design projects underneath you. And that's just amazing. I don't know, a little bit. I mean, I already kind of said how I know you. And let's see. A little bit about how I know you. But specifically what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to brag on you. I'm going to say what I admire so much about you. One is, just look at that face. She is super modest. And Jacki is, I know you're one of the best people that I know, and in a lot of ways.
You're so nice.
And it's not just like, I mean, yes, you're a great person, you have a great heart, you have great morals, you're super open-minded, you're accepting of all sorts of different people, but you're also like freaking good at everything you've ever done.
I don't know about that. That's really not true.
Jacki can sing, she can dance, she was so athletic. She was a heptathlete in college, like literally, which is the person that can do all of the events.
No,
like
can do kind of good at a few things, but not really good at one thing. Okay.
See, she was modest. A heptathlete is the person on the track team that is most likely to do the best at all events, like strength, jumping, speed, everything. And you had a scholarship for it. You're still up on the wall in Murray High School as like the highest high jump. Good for you. And anyways, I am so proud of you and everything that you're doing with yourself, and I know I just want you to I know that your mom and dad would be so proud of you too, because you've just made a wonderful life for yourself. You have a wonderful husband and you have a wonderful family.
Thank you. That's probably the best compliment you can give me, so I really appreciate that.
Well, I definitely mean it, Jacki. But going back into the interview, now that you all know a little bit more about her, I want to know specifically, I mean, God, you've worked for yourself since you graduated college.
I know. Honestly, from the get-go, I'd always wanted to like own my business and be my own boss. I thought it was like the ideal situation, get to pick your time, get to pick the days you work. And yes, that is true. But at the same time, there's a whole lot of other stuff that goes into that. In fact, I probably work more than someone who has, a regular full-time job, just because there's so many different aspects that go into running your own business. And especially when it comes to hiring on employees, you kind of have to manage them as well. And, but honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. Like the amount that I've learned in the last 4 years after I've started running my business it's been unbelievable. The amount of hours I put into learning new techniques, learning how to design, learning the best programs and ways to do things. It's been a challenge, but gosh, it's just like so fulfilling to say, shoot, look at where I started and look at where things are now. And I'm excited for what's to come. But yeah, being your boss is great. It has its challenges, but I mean, if you're wanting to start your own business, I say go for it. Just prepare yourself for the challenges that are ahead. But yeah, gosh, it's been so great.
So tell me, I know, like I was trying to remember the last regular job that you had, like for somebody else.
Oh my gosh, I've had the weirdest jobs, I swear. The last regular job I had, well, I did like landscaping for a company for a while. I worked in Victoria's Secret for a while. I was, right before I went into photography full time, being my own boss there, I was like a second grade teacher's aide too.
Okay.
So I've like been all over the map.
And so that was after college, the second grade teacher's aide. Okay.
The second grade teacher's aide and the Victoria's Secret were at the same time. So okay. I was just like trying to be as busy as possible. I don't do well when I'm bored and don't have a lot going on. So I kind of, sometimes I put too much on my plate, but I'd rather be really busy than not have anything going on. So.
Okay, so what I want to talk about is your transition into completely quitting all other jobs and working 100% for yourself, because most women that I know that have business endeavors, that's kind of where they're at, and it's a hard transition to make. So talk to me about that.
Yes. Okay, so after we moved, after I decided like this is my last wedding that I'm going to photograph, I had to figure out, okay, now that I wanted to do design, how am I going to get clients? That's the big question. How are you going to get clients to make money? And when you don't have a portfolio, that's kind of hard to do. So my first step was creating a portfolio of work. And to do that, I reached out to people. I went to networking events. I stepped out of my comfort zone quite a bit to reach out to people who I really wanted to work with, who I thought we had a really similar style and that I could create something amazing for them that would look really great in my portfolio and attract other ideal clients.
Did you work pro bono for this? Did you work for free?
Some of them I did work for free. So you have to prepare yourself for that. I think in the beginning stages, it is necessary to do free and cheap work, but I do not recommend it later on when you have your business kind of set up. I'm not a huge fan of doing free work. I think that our time is super valuable, and that people should pay for the product that you're giving them, because my products that I create for people are making them money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realize the importance of it at the beginning, but you have to realize the importance of your time after. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, found the clients, was able to build my portfolio, and that took honestly like a year and a half, 2 years, to really nail down my website, portfolio, and find my niche client and my niche work. But then after that,
oh, sorry, and this was in Arizona. It took you a year and a half.
Yes.
Okay. But you ran your own business with photography and didn't do anything else before then in Utah as well.
Yes. And when I started photography, I was still doing free work at first.
Mm-hmm.
Telling people, hey, I'll shoot your family. I'll do your senior pictures for free, just so I could get those images on a site and be able to show them to the world, show them like, hey, I'm decent at this, so you should hire me. But that's kind of what you have to do with any job, anything that you start. So you got to have that portfolio, got to have good work to show people.
Okay. And you specifically have been married, so that was kind of your support network, was like Andy was like, I'll support you while you're doing free work and not bringing in income. Like there had to be a little bit of give and take with that, right?
Yes, definitely. So luckily, my husband works full time. He's an accountant. So we never really struggled like I never had to like have a full-time job. So we were really blessed in that way. And so I could designate like all of my time to creating this business, Foil and Ink. So that first year, that's what I did. And I honestly that first year was hard because from 8 a.m. in the morning till like 3 o'clock in the morning, like full day, Andy's sleeping. I'm like, I gotta go work. I gotta go finish these projects. And he was like, okay, as much as like, I'm sure he hated it. He like, okay, she wants to do this. I'm going to support her. And he did, and it paid off. And he's been so wonderful this whole time. And honestly, he's come in, he does all the accounting for Foil and Ink, and he's done a lot of the management with some of the companies that we work with. So he's been so great.
Awesome. One thing, this is just curious because I don't really know this, but it's one thing I talked with Margie about from the Lovely Avenue is, does your husband own any of your business?
He does not.
Okay, but he helps with it.
He does help with it, yes.
So I think that's a very good, like, strong supporting husband roles because, I mean, to not try to take any ownership of anything that you're doing, that you own, that's your passion, that's your life, but to be supportive is to help with things that are, that maybe they're better at or they know, and then, but not.
Yeah, and honestly, like I wouldn't, like Andy would be the first person that I would share it with, to be honest. Like he would even like, do you think we should split this? Do you think, no, he was like, this is your thing. You do you, and I will support you the entire time. So
I love that. That's so great. Okay, so we are going to talk about the specific question, and that I thought was really important, something that you do great. You do it so well that it is your business. You do it for other companies, and that's branding. So talk to me about first branding yourself, and branding other people, branding it for your clients.
Okay, well, first off, branding for yourself is like the most difficult project in the world because as a business owner, like your ideas are just changing constantly, and you're like, oh, I like this, but then tomorrow I like this, and then it's just honestly like my site, it's never going to be good enough. Like every day I'm like, oh, I need to change this, I need to add this, I need to take that out. It's just a constant battle, but I feel like it's to a point now where it's doing its job, it's good enough, but branding for yourself.
I'm there right now. It's beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
You're crazy.
Just any business owner, their business is their baby, and they want it to thrive, and they want it to look and act amazing, and And so for me, like, in our world, things are just changing so fast. And if we're not up to date on all of it, we feel a little bit behind. And so that's how I feel about my site. Like, I see all these new things happening. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to update this. I have to change this. But it's fine. Honestly, it's working. Um, but branding for clients, it's a little bit different because my clients, we do this huge process where I send them these lengthy questionnaires that really dig deep to the root of the core of their business, like, and not just their business, but them as a person, and what their goals are for their business, what their insecurities are about their business. And we even go into numbers, like, what are they making now? What are they wanting to make? What changes do they need? What things do they need to change in order to make those numbers, you know? And I get to create this brand around all of those ideas and around these concepts that they give me. And the best part of the job is when I hand these things over and they implement them into their site, or when we create their site, and then the inquiries just rush in and they're able to meet those financial goals. Like, that is so empowering, not just for them, but for us, saying like, oh my gosh, we were able to help them reach their goals. And I say that because people have helped me reach my goals. Like, it's changed my life. It's changed my business. It's just a wonderful thing. And of course, like, I'll tell you this too. And you didn't even ask me about this, but I'm going to mention it anyway. When you're able, so all of us, we have to charge a price for our products. Mm-hmm. And when you start low. And then as you gain experience, you of course raise those prices. And so it's cool that where I've started and what my prices are now, I feel like it's finally fair that mm-hmm. I'm giving them a product that and the price that they paid for it, like, it's fair and it's going to do wonders for them, and that price is helping me with my financial goals. So it's just a circle that connects, and it's great. It's wonderful.
I mean, that is good. Finding a good price for your product where you're making enough money to cover your overhead and get paid for your time, and yes. it is valuable. I mean, if you undervalue yourself, also, if you mark your price too low, people are going to kind of be like, well, I don't know if that's what I want. I don't know if it's like enough. So I think that valuing yourself is a really big thing. And I remember I asked you specifically about branding and what your your logo branding packages are starting at. And I was just like, good for you. I'm so happy for you. I've got kind of like another business entity actually that I'm probably going to be starting soon, and I'm really excited to reach out to you for branding because you know me so well, and also I've never had the opportunity. The thing about health and fitness meals is that I didn't know if you know this, or a lot of people know this, but I didn't get the opportunity to do my own name or branding. Really? That kind of got like taken from me. So it's going to be exciting to have the opportunity to actually like name. I don't even know. I was like, wow, if I name my own thing that I love, like, I don't even know, like, get to name and do a branding for something that is really for me and a part of me.
Yes, that's exciting. That'll be really cool to have like full power over that. So I'm excited.
Well, I mean, at a point, like you don't change it. You're like, well, it is what it is, and you can't change it because so much goes into people recognizing your logo. And that's kind of where I was with that. I was like, I can drop that, I can leave that behind. But this subset, like this other project that I'm working on, it works with health and fitness meals, but it's becoming so much its own entity and as standing as itself that I'm gonna end up licensing it separately. And I don't want it to interfere with my numbers made from health and fitness meals, also because I've got franchise offers on health and fitness meals, and I don't want I don't want the people I don't want the money that's coming in from this separately to affect the numbers from my health and fitness meals company. And I also don't want to sell this part of it because it's too much of me and it's separate, so I'm just gonna make it that way. So I'm excited to work with you on that. Yes. Okay, so branding was what we specifically wanted to talk about, but for you, if you were to have one piece of advice from your experience, like what would you leave women with today? Like if they're going to start their own business, if they're looking to, if they found something they love and they're not really sure, like what would you say to women?
Gosh, there's so many different things I want to say to people. For me, I'm just gonna get personal with me. For me, the hardest part about having your business is you're kind of the face of your business. And so I'm not like doing this Facebook Live. Like this is the first time I've ever done a Facebook Live, and it's super terrifying for me because I'm not good in front of the camera, and I tend to like say stupid stuff all the time. So that's cool. But you have to be super brave. And I mean, starting your own business, if you're already that far at the beginning steps, like congrats, like you were brave enough to like get the ball rolling. But you have to be prepared for the haters, and you have to be prepared, like not everyone is going to love what you're offering, and you have to be okay with that. And you know what, those aren't the people that you want to market towards. You want to find your ideal client, and once you have found your ideal client, you want to market everything towards them. Okay, because these people, they're spending their hard-earned cash on you, and so you want to be able to provide an incredible product for that specific person. And so I guess my main piece of advice is really search for that ideal client, who you're wanting to provide a product for, what you're wanting to create for that person, and then just stick with that. But yeah, so ideal client is huge, at least in my line of business. So, but yeah, that's kind of my piece of advice.
Oh, that's great. That's really good advice. I'm glad that you shared that because I completely agree. It's something that's on my mind as well. Our next thing that we're going to talk about is basically this is the advice column as far as something like specific and constructive. And we talked about it before, and we think that what you do really well is, creating the websites and like capturing, I guess, like landing pages is what I'm talking about. So creating the websites and doing the landing pages, you're really good at this. So I think that if you can talk about that, if you can talk about some good platforms, if you can talk about some good advice for people who are just starting their business and just barely getting going on their websites.
Absolutely. So nowadays everyone needs a website when they have a business. So, and you have a lot of options. I'm just going to stick with the 3 options that I'm familiar with and tell you more about those. So the first platform that we specialize in is called Show It 5. We love this platform because it is drag and drop, no coding is necessary, and it's like kind of like I like to compare it to Photoshop, where you're kind of building your site as if you would a Photoshop image or gallery. So it's all drag and drop, super fun to use. And if you aren't comfortable with like doing your own stuff, we have templates that are available, and they're templates all that already have the design ready to go. You purchase it, import the design, and then you upload your photos and change out the text. And I mean, people have done it in like a day. So that Show 5 is my favorite platform. And then there is WordPress, which is probably the most popular website platform right now. WordPress is great, and then Squarespace is also really great. And we're starting to dabble in Squarespace a little bit more. So I'm excited to start including our templates on that platform as well. So yes, it kind of just depends on what you're looking for in a website. If you're wanting to go more e-commerce, or if you're just a photography studio wanting to just showcase your images, that will kind of depend on what platform you decide to go with as well. So yeah, lots of options. Those are my 3 favorite though.
Okay, thank you. That's really helpful. So you also do website design for companies? You go with that? Yes.
Absolutely. So we do both. We have 2 packages. One where they buy one of our templates, and then we customize that template to fit their brand. And that takes a short amount of time, and it's a little bit more budget friendly. And then we have our custom website build, where we build it from the ground up. And
so that's a proprietary website, right?
Yes. So clients who are ready to just have something completely unique, something out of the box, not like anybody else's, that would be our custom build.
Okay, and so one thing about those types of websites, am I saying that proprietary website, like where they own it, where it's not underneath somebody else?
Yes.
So it's like completely original, like GoDaddy doesn't own it. Those other platforms that you mentioned don't own it, like WordPress. And so what's nice about this is that you don't, if you stop paying, oh, sorry. So what's nice about this type of website is that it's owned, and that if you don't need to keep making payments on it to keep like your domain and everything open, right?
So people need to understand, when you're working with a website, you're not just working with like what you're seeing on your computer screen. You have to take into account your domain name, which is something you pay for, and then your hosting, which is how your website is live on the internet, and then the cost of the website development, of course. So say someone wants to use Showit. So that does mean that they have to pay a monthly subscription in order to use that platform. So we like Showit because we can hand over a website to our clients and they can go in anytime they want and update things. So that's why we like to use Showit. And yes, there is like a monthly fee starting from $15. It goes up to $40, I believe. But just depending on their needs, that's what they'll get to choose from. But yes, everybody who has a website needs to realize that they're paying.
You got cut out. Can you say that one more time? Everyone needs to realize that they're paying, and then you cut out.
Oh, that they're going to be paying for both like a domain hosting provider and then whatever program they end up building the site on.
But if you build it from nothing, then they're not paying for the program, correct?
Well, so we build their website and Showit. So once we build it and Showit, they have to subscribe to Showit in order to go and update it themselves and make it live. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's some good information. I know there's a big world difference between like setting it up on those little platforms and building it from scratch. And I think that definitely the platforms are where to go, because you don't want to start business without a website. And but as you grow and develop and you know exactly more specifically what your needs are and you want it to look a certain way, I think that would be the time that say I'd hire you, or basically that's on my level. So like the ones with like, I'm sure the Show 5, like the GoDaddy, the WordPress, those are my level. Like as a business owner, that's like within, I think, regular people's skill levels, but there's no way I'm like coding a whole.
No, and to be honest, like I know very, very little coding.
Okay.
Hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I know very little coding, and that's why I decided to go with these platforms, is because they don't involve a ton of coding. Like Showify, like that's why we choose them, is so that we don't have to do any of it, and that we can hand it over to our clients, and they don't have to get a headache and stress and have to hire us over and over and over again to update these little things that they need done every month. And so we want them to feel like they're capable of that kind of stuff in running their business, and that they can handle that. And of course, if they need the extra help, but yeah.
Well, thank you, Jackie. And I mean, I wanted to say that I go with GoDaddy. That's why I keep saying it. And it's a good for like a shop. But I actually have had such specific needs that I hardly even use the shop anymore. And I like fully embed whatever I want into each of the pages, because I've adapted so much as a business owner that their platform for their shop doesn't do much for me. So
got it. But I mean, I have people that have used them before and they enjoyed it. So to each their own, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So that was it for the questions that I have for you. And I mean, I want to leave people with, you're a great person if you are in business to go to for any of these services, for any of the branding, for any of the website development, if they need it, if they, they don't want to do it on their own. Yeah. But also, you gave great tips as far as doing it on your own. I know I always go to you when I have my questions. So if there are other women listening and they follow you at Foil and Ink and like send you a message about, well, which platform was that picture that you posted from that website? Are you good about answering questions for people?
Yeah, feel free to send us an email at info@foil and ink, and we try to respond to people within 24 hours. And I would love to answer any questions you have about your website, your branding, and kind of give you direction on if we're the best fit for you or somebody else is. Because we're, I guess, as a business owner, another piece of advice that I want to give other people is it's okay to say no. Um, at first, I would say yes to everybody and take on as much work as I could because I wanted to be able to meet those financial goals and I wanted to be able to get my name out there and have all this work. And it completely burned me out. And I was working with people who weren't my ideal clients, whose projects I actually ended up hating, and it just wasn't good for the client or me. And so I realized like it's okay to say no. It's okay to miss out on this piece of business if it means that another piece of of better business is coming your way. So there have been people who have inquired for our services, and we've been able to have a chat, see what they're looking for, see what their ideas and vision are, and sometimes like I've realized like we just aren't a good fit. And I know a lot of other designers and I can send them to those other designers and feel like they're in good hands. So don't be offended if someone you go to says, hey, I just don't know if this is probably going to be the best thing for you. Like that is the best thing for you is you going, is them sending you other people's information because you want to make sure that you are getting it done getting things done right the first time. So, yeah, that's another thing I just wanted to make sure that I included in here.
Awesome. All right. So that's the last information from you. So now it's time that you can ask me a question.
Oh.
And it can be anything you want, and I haven't heard it yet, so kind of on the fly here.
Okay. I love asking people like about like their challenges with owning their own business. Because as business owners, I feel like sometimes everyone's hush hush about that because they want people to think like, oh, I've got my shiz all together, you know? Um, so what has been the most challenging thing for you as a business owner running health and fitness meals? And I know you haven't started this other line of work yet, but what you're preparing yourself for when you do it.
Okay, so the most challenging thing I think is that, well, as you know, I never went to business school. I never planned on being a business owner for myself. It's something that just really organically happened. So much so that I never even got a business loan. It just like kept growing. And then the things that you don't think about when you don't sit down and you don't make a business plan, like, and it just you just start getting overflown with work. It's different. It's very different than having an organized, conscious thought. Like how I said, I didn't even really like name, my company. Like I was working so hard at that time before like I had even had it registered, which is very different. It's very different than most people's situations, but I definitely think that if you love something and you have so many people go to business school, but they don't have entrepreneur spirits. They don't actually have a passion for something or an idea behind something. They just know all of like the codes and the basics. So learning all of that up front was really, really hard. But there are a lot of things I didn't think of with my company. And honestly, I love it. And I know it provides so much for everybody. And I'm so passionate about it. But I would not recommend that anyone goes into the business of food prep because it's not the highest profit margin company. And it is hard. And I see and I hear of new companies that come up all the time. Like I literally am like, another food prep company.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'll see you goodbye in 6 months. And it's literally the biggest turnover type of a thing because people are like, oh yeah, this is popular, so it's gonna have lots of traffic and a lot of business. But like, no, like there's really only a few that have stuck in like my area that are still around, that were around when I started. Actually, one, maybe. Everybody is gone. Everybody comes and goes, and it's really hard because it's not an easy business. I didn't make the business model, so I didn't think about the profit margins that would be. So like how to make food affordable within people's regular food budget. So it has to be a price that people can afford to do every single week. If it's something they can only afford to do once, then you've got all these five by clients. So not the best profit margins, lots of overhead. Like leasing an industrial kitchen, which is actually like one of the least of the overheads, because the things that are higher are food costs. I can't even believe it. I spend at least.
I would never think that.
I spend at least $4,000 to $5,000 a week in food.
Oh my gosh.
So like when you're working with like a lot of expenses, like money just is like,
oh
like,
yeah.
I was like, holy cow, that was my grocery bill, like $5,000. And then because it's so labor intensive, you can't just throw freaking raw chicken and whatever and say, here you go. They could have gone to the store for that. It's like labor. Like I have so many employees, and hiring people is hard. And the cost, like I spend even more than I spend on food on payroll.
Oh.
So we're talking about like kitchen, food, payroll. It's not the business model that's super smart, to be honest, because it's definitely the business model that makes me care about my clients and care about everybody having something good and making people's lives better and easier. It's not my get fast rich plan. So that's what's been hard. It's been hard thinking about dealing with all of the things that are higher. So like having a lot of staff is a hard thing, and juggling hiring, like replacing people, making sure that, you've got a good retention of staff, because nothing's worse than like training somebody and then they're and so I think that's kind of the hardest. So with my new nutrition platform that I've developed, I was like, no, there's got to be a better way to do business than this. Like, and it basically cut out what would you say, real estate. Like you don't have to have like a building, you have to have a lease. It cuts out overhead because it's an automated program, and cuts out staff. It's something that you can build and develop that like works for you. And so I definitely, like I said, didn't plan on going to business, but then learned a lot about it and created something that this was actually more on my mind probably than Health and Fitness Meals ever was. And it's taken me 8 years, and Health and Fitness Meals has been in development we've been in business for 5 to 6 years. So,
okay.
Yeah,
so you're like ready to go.
Yeah, I'm it's already going, but, I basically have, I cut out all the things that were hard about Health and Fitness Meals, and worked with a different business model, like a better, I believe, business model, something where that's a passive income stream for me and all of my partners. So
I love it. I think that's like super helpful too for people who are starting out, because I think people who start their own businesses, they just get excited to just like go out and do it, when you got to really think about like how much work and time is this going to take me, how much money is this going to take me, and is it all going to really be worth it in the end? Or but I mean, and I don't ever want to be like, oh, see, like this might be just a little bit more than you were thinking, so you shouldn't do it. No, like I want to obviously like push people to do what they want to do, but like you said, like you want to definitely have some, like your business model, your business plan, maybe somewhat set up before you just go all in, because it can be a rude awakening after that first year to be like, oh, I just spent thousands of hours doing this and I made like $100,
I can definitely say that, because I'll say that for sure. So I didn't plan on this. I didn't have enough time to take a step back, because I was just getting demand and I was just getting filled up, and it was just becoming what it was without me having an opportunity to breathe. And then when expansion times hit, like I went through huge periods where I had to pay a lot more money to get into a better space and to have people help me. And I have worked for pennies an hour. Like when you're a business owner and employees are a must, then you pay out your employees before you pay yourself out. And I've laughed. I mean, you're like making people like laugh about like horrible things. So like I was like, oh my God, I get paid less than a freaking third world prostitute an hour, probably.
Oh my
So
God.
I think that definitely if you're a business owner, you got to be ready to like work your ass off, work so hard for so long and maybe not even see any monetary return. And especially if you, I mean, for me, I put my clients first. You know, I put my employees over me, and I'm going to make sure they're taken care of first.
No,
Period.
that's
Hands down, end of the day.
a great way to handle things. And I agree because those are the people that are going to bring you business. They're going to tell their friends. They're going to rave about you, and they definitely need to be taken care of. But you definitely need to take. We need to take care of ourselves too. But I agree. Like those first few years, it's just like you're just barely above water, just hoping things work out. But gosh, when they do, it's just super rewarding, and you're like, okay, that was worth it. This was good. Yeah. So I'm super proud of you, Ashley. This has been so fun.
Good. I'm so glad that you're able to do this interview with me today. Like Jackie did this last minute, guys. I had to drop out, and she just filled in, and so it went really well. It went really smooth, and we, got to her topics. And I think you're just so full of knowledge. So I think I'm excited to post this interview because I think so many people are going to get a lot out of it.
I hope I don't sound like a total idiot. So sorry if you think I'm a weirdo, but hey.
All right. Well, thanks, Jackie. I'm gonna just say goodbye, and then I will see you soon.
Hey, thanks so much, Ash. See ya.